Hey, it's Nikolai of Global Seafoods. We're here making a seafood miso soup. This is not your powdered miso soup mixture you get from the store mixed up with hot water. We're actually going to make it from scratch. So here we go. For the miso soup, obviously we're going to have our white miso paste. We're going to finish it off from all of our experiments and videos with the miso glazed fish. We're going to use some golden king crab. We're going to use some Dungeness crab, some Patagonian shrimp. We're going to use daishi powder. This is essentially dried bonito and I believe anchovies, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to use tofu. We're going to use a firmer tofu. I like the firmer tofu. We're going to use some chicken stock paste, scallions, some eggs, and of course we're going to use, don't lose the eggs. And of course we're going to use some dried seaweed. Okay, let's get to it. So our first step is to prep our tofu. We already have water on the in the pot boiling, but we're going to take it out. You want to dry it a little bit. Just grab some paper towels and press. It's going to have some extra moisture. You don't we don't care to dry this one too much. We're not making fried tofu. If you make fried tofu, you do really want to dry it, but this is not going to be fried. You don't want it to come apart from your batter. So get a little bit of that moisture out of there, let it dry, and then we're going to cut it up into cubes. This is good. Here we go. We're going to cut it into cubes. Okay. And then it doesn't have to be exactly square cubes. All right. No one here is doing a geometry test. You can definitely make them smaller if you prefer. If so, we can take these and cut them down the middle. And of course, you can make them even smaller if you want, but we don't mind. All right, here we go. We're going to clean these. We're going to take the shrimps. We're going to stick this in here somehow. There we go. Stick it down in here. Ta-da. Takes the skin right off. I'm going to take the shell off. Oop, the tail off an accident. We're going to devein it. Take that vein out. Boom. There's one ready. Let's take the next one. Same concept. Stick that right down in there. Takes that right off. Okay. Pull it off. There we go. Oop, don't miss any pieces. Then we're going to, once again, take out the main vein. There we go. There we are. We have our shrimps. It's on my fingers. Now we're going to take our golden crab. Scissors through it. Cut it. Voila. Open that up. Take that out. Add that there. We're going to do the same thing with the rest of the crab. You want to make sure you have good sharp scissors. Right, these kitchen scissors do a great job. These, technically speaking, they are supposed to be herb shears, but as you can see, they cut through crab shells like butter. Same thing we're going to do with our Dungeness crab, just right down the middle. Okay, we're going to add that all together. We're going to cut these up as well, okay? So essentially what we're going to do with the shrimps is we're going to cut them. All right, here we are. Our water's boiling. Now we're going to take a sieve like this. This is actually going to help us make sure that our miso breaks up. We're going to take a couple big spoons of that, put it in the sieve. You don't want giant chunks of miso paste floating around in your soup. It just doesn't come out very good. So we're going to put that straight in the boiling water and just let that come apart in a sieve as we rub it. It's going to come into our stock here. After we've done this, we're going to start adding our bouillon cubes. But first, you got to make sure all of that is dissolved. Next, we're going to have our chicken soup base. This is a chicken bouillon. I'm going to take a nice big spoonful of that. Okay, and we're going to add that in. From there, we're going to take a small spoon of the dashi powder. Okay, so this here is essentially bonito, dried bonito. Smells fishy. Okay, it's going to add us a lot of flavor. So we're going to add about yay much. I'm going to put that in, and we're going to lower this down to a medium. All right, now that everything's mixed in, as you can see, our broth here is going to bubble a little bit. We're going to turn it down a little bit to a simmer. It's going to calm down, and we're going to take our tofu that we've chopped up into blocks. We're just going to add that in. I'm going to use this spoon so I'm just not splattering myself with hot soup. All right, now see we have our tofu in there. We're going to let that simmer. Next, we're going to put in our crab and our shrimp. We're just going to let that simmer there. Mix it in so it's nicely mixed. Let it simmer. Let's snip up some green onions, okay? Use lots of them. Get them all in there. It's going to give it some great flavor. It's going to give it some color. It's going to make it look nice. All right? If you're cooking for people, you want it to look nice. You don't want it to look like a giant plate of bleh, okay? Next, we're going to take our dried wakame seaweed. Just add that right in there. Be generous. Don't be stingy. And mix it in. All right, we have lightly beaten some eggs. All right, see, very lightly. Now we're going to add it in a slow circular motion. You don't want to add this all at once, otherwise it'll become a giant omelet. Okay, so here we go. Add it in there. Okay, and then we're going to take this, stir it up a little bit. Okay, make sure the eggs get in there. All right, for those of you who've had miso soup before, you know it's usually pretty simple. I mean, didn't take much for us to even make a homemade one. Okay, but it's going to be worth the effort. Now, in and itself, you can consider miso soup semi-seafood by itself because we're all adding the dashi powder, which is dried bonito, and we're also adding the seaweed. That's seafood. Okay, but we added a little bit extra. That crab, that shrimp is going to add more flavor to it, but it's not going to overpower it. It's not going to take over it. So we're not adding too many spices. It's very simple. Took us about maybe 10 minutes to put this together. So we're going to see how it tastes. And here we go. Let's get a bit there. All right, here we are. We have our miso soup. Look at that, it's beautiful. Okay, we have our trusty spoon. We're gonna give this a try. Let's go. First off, let's try the broth. Look at that. It's way more flavorful than your restaurant miso soup that they just make out of a packet. You get more miso, you get more flavor from the chicken stock. Just tastes way better. The stuff you get at a sushi place most likely doesn't taste like this. This is way better, way tastier. Got a spoonful of a little bit of tofu, a little bit of seaweed. Try that out. Look at that. It's fantastic. This is way better. Don't buy the pack of stuff. As you guys saw, this was not difficult to make. This was pretty simple. Okay, let's try a little bit with the shrimp. Pairs perfectly. So good. So easy. As you guys can see, it took us 10 minutes. Wasn't a lot. It was very simple. But it's way more delicious. It is definitely worth the effort. So hit like, hit follow, share it, and we'll see you next time.